presentation. Couple housekeeping details for you. For those of you who are attending the webinar today, March 6, 2020, after the webinar, you will receive an email. It will be from Joy Greeny thanking you for attending. That is your proof that you have attended. So if you need verification for your company to get credit for the training today, that is what you would use. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box and we will address those at the end of Stan's presentation. He'll take a few minutes to go through questions with you. And I think pretty much everything. I'm going to hand it over to Stan Keepis, sorry. And he is the Executive Director of ARC, the ARC of Southwest Indiana. And he's going to be speaking about the partnership that they have with Toyota. So it's a really cool opportunity. Really looking forward to hearing that. So Stan, I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to you if you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready. Hi everybody. My name is Stan Keepis.
Oh, sorry, I muted you, Stan.
Oh, that's
Are you
okay.
there?
Yes.
Sorry, clicked the wrong button. My computer is being tricky this morning. So okay, switching you over to make you the presenter.
Good to go?
Yep, you are good to go.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Stan Keepis, and I'm the CEO of the ARC Southwest Indiana. I do really appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody today because we have just such an exciting project going on with Toyota, and we're so fortunate to be located here where Toyota has taken the attitude to hire people with disabilities and make it a priority in what they're doing. They're a real force here in our area, and I'll talk a little bit about numbers later, but you'll understand the impact that they do have on our community. To be able to partner with them and offer opportunities to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in the area of employment has really made a difference in our entire agency and our entire community here in Princeton, Indiana. We're located down in the southwest corner of the state. We primarily serve Gibson and Pike counties, but we are expanding to try to not take over or dominate other counties, but create partnerships with providers in those other counties and communities to offer this opportunity to all people with disabilities. So this project started in 2014. Can everybody see my screen now?
Nope, I don't see it. Did you? It should have brought up the little thing to show your screen.
Okay, how about now?
Now we can.
Okay, sorry about that.
Thank you.
So our project started in 2014 when Toyota put out a bid to start an enclave for people with developmental and intellectual disabilities in one of their two plants out at the Toyota campus here in Princeton. Fortunately, we were the successful bidder, and we started in January with a crew on the blue shift, which is the day shift, and the gold shift, which is the night shift. And each of those enclaves had 4 individuals or 4 full-time equivalent spots, and we worked in just the one plant. At that time, vocational rehabilitation supported this project as a competitive placement for the individuals with disabilities. And so we really had a great opportunity to start moving people out of our sheltered workshop, which we still have, but it is downsizing over time. But we had a sheltered workshop, and we really had some top performers in our workshop, and they were interested in moving on through. A lot of the people that we were serving in employment services were getting the typical jobs, especially for a rural area like we're in fast food and other things like that. So the Toyota opportunity was something totally different. And like I said, we moved people out of the sheltered workshop, and Voc Rehab did support it as a competitive placement. It was really interesting because Toyota had not worked with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities before, and they had some really strict guidelines that we had to follow. We had to have only one vehicle come out there and occupy one spot on their property. So everybody had to meet in town, and we provided transportation out to the plant, and we entered the building and we left the building together in a group. we had to walk in single file lines with a staff person in front of the line and a staff person in the back of the line. And we had to do this not only whenever we entered and left the building, but this was also the process that we had to implement whenever our individuals had to go to the bathroom, eat lunch, or go on breaks. And, you know, it was really, I think, just Toyota's uncertainty of working with people with disabilities and worried about maybe stories or stigma that they had heard, people getting out of line, wandering around. I think it was mainly for safety purposes. You know, they were just really unsure of what they were getting into, although they knew that they wanted to serve people with disabilities. And so, you know, it was just really interesting to see all of the very strict guidelines that we had when we started. And then over time, how once they saw people with disabilities actually working, how that lessened up and how they became more accepted and treated like regular employees. So with the one plant, we really started doing a good job. And like I said, the initial placements were supported by Voc Rehab. And with the work we had done in our sheltered workshop and then through some other outlets that we were drawing our people from, our initial placements were really successful in getting the work done. And we also had exceptional attendance records. We had no safety issues at all. And the quality of the work we were doing was without error. And so, you know, they saw that people with disabilities were really capable of a lot more than what I think they initially thought. And so over time and within a year, they opened a second enclave with our individuals in their other plant. The Toyota plant here in Princeton manufactures the Highlander, the Sienna minivan, and up until just a couple of months ago, also the Sequoia. And now they've moved the Sequoia out and they've increased production of the Highlander because it's such a popular vehicle. But every Highlander and every Sienna van throughout the world is made here in Princeton. So to expand into that other plant just created more opportunities for our individuals that previously were not available. So what I have here before we go any further is a short video that you can see. And the reason I wanted to show this video is so you could really see what was going on in the plant. I think as we talk about these things, it's kind of hard to envision until you just see it. And so this I think it's about a 3-minute video will kind of give you a good example of what's happening.
A partnership with Toyota means opportunity for people with developmental disabilities. As we train people to move on into competitive employment, Toyota was a perfect company for our individuals to be part of and to have that important job of working under demanding standards. So meeting quality, meeting safety, and meeting timelines has been so important, and they just really thrived in learning skills and demanding something out of themselves that they previously may not have been able to achieve.
What makes Bridging the Gap unique is all of the ARC team members are out on the floor with everybody. And, you know, you can't tell the difference between an ARC employee or a TMMI employee. So to me, it's strengthened the program. And I'm very proud to say that we've had 3 other manufacturing plants within North America come and benchmark our program. Really tells that this is making a meaningful difference in many people's lives. The culture at Toyota has changed dramatically since we've been in a partnership with the ARC. The result of that is more inclusion, not only with myself, but all of our team members.
For the people who have participated in the program, it's changed their lives significantly. There's been individuals who have lived in a group home and started working in a sheltered workshop. And through the opportunity that we've been given at Toyota, people have moved out of the group home into their own apartments. They've moved out of sheltered workshop, making sub-minimum wage, to making in excess of $17 an hour. So the independence that they've gained and moved forward to fully independent individuals integrated into their community, it's been phenomenal.
Long term, my goals for people with disabilities are pretty large. There's 10,000 jobs in a 2.5-mile radius from where I'm sitting. There's 20 different employers. So I see that there's great opportunity for people with disabilities to join every organization. What I'd like to see is that we would get closer to the representation of people with disabilities amongst our community that are working here. We do all kinds of things here to make sure that we're building award-winning vehicles every day. There's unlimited amount of opportunity for anybody that lives in this region, especially those with disabilities. So I'd like to see us continue to grow the program, see every employer on our campus bring folks with disabilities onto their team, see the growth that we've seen here at Team MI.
Hello, Mr. Brown. My name is Michael. I like working at Toyota.
So I hope that gives everybody a good idea of what's actually happening out there. The way it's evolved has just been phenomenal from the enclave where we were working in a congregate setting to now being out side by side with other vendors and other Toyota employees without disabilities. And it's happening on a daily basis, and our people are just integrated in there very well and doing a great job. And it's just been phenomenal to see. So like I said, the initial placements were supported by Voc Rehab as a competitive placement. But after a short period of time, they got involved and decided that because of the congregate setting, and they felt at that time that people weren't really integrated into the entire plant. And at that time, they weren't. The involvement into our training center, which I'll talk about, came just a little bit later in the game. But so they then said that they couldn't support the placements out at Toyota any longer. And I did really, though, appreciate their team, because we did push back a little bit and talked about how we moved out of the sheltered workshop and they were out on the Toyota campus, that we were paying competitive wages and benefits and felt like it should be a competitive placement. But ultimately, they did get their legal team involved and they dug into it as much as they could and made the decision that they could no longer support that as a competitive placement. But we didn't stop. So we decided, okay, you know, this is too great of an opportunity, and these people are being too successful and doing too well to just back off because VR pulled out. So we went to Toyota and we explained the situation, and we were able to work some things out to allow us to continue to support those individuals out there and still give people an opportunity to work on that campus. So what happened then with our response after that was really kind of sheer luck. A fella named Ted Brown, who is the general manager of quality at Toyota, called me on the telephone and wanted to have lunch. So I met Ted for lunch, and he said, I have a Christmas gift for you. This was right before Christmas. I have a Christmas gift for you. And he handed me Randy Lewis's book. Randy Lewis is a former executive at Walgreen, and he really had a commitment toward hiring people with disabilities, and that their warehouses in the Carolinas, he staffed with a very high percentage of developmentally disabled individuals, having an autistic son himself. And Ted also has a son with a disability who was in high school at the time, and said, I want to implement this program, this Randy Lewis model at Toyota. What do you think? And I said, I think that's a fantastic idea. I had seen Randy Lewis present just a couple of months earlier at an Arc of Indiana awards dinner in Indianapolis, and his story was really cool. And the way he set expectations for people with disabilities, and you know, didn't expect anything less than a great job on a daily basis, just the same as he was getting out of other employees. Ted said, I think we can do that at Toyota. And so that was really the beginning of moving away from just a congregated setting and an enclave out at Toyota, where our individuals with disabilities from the sheltered workshop or some from the community went and were employed, and that was it. Ted said, we're going to move these people out into the Toyota campus, and they're going to work for Toyota, or they're going to work for Superior Maintenance, who is a vendor out on the Toyota campus, or they're going to work for Aramark, who is another vendor out on the Toyota campus. So on that day was when we decided that these individuals wouldn't just no longer work in our enclave, but move on out into competitive employment and be regular employees of Toyota or one of the vendors out on that campus. So we developed a plan, and a couple of months later, we had our first placements. And the first placements were at SMC, or Superior Maintenance, which is a vendor out on the Toyota campus. They work out on the floor, and they do things like pick seat belts, or windshield wiper hoses, or just different jobs related to the manufacturing of the vehicle. And the response was really interesting from our people. Some were very successful right away, and they didn't miss a beat in working both on the blue shift and the gold shift, and offering the same quality and safety that they were doing in the enclave. And so these first few placements, a couple were just spot on successful, couldn't have been better. However, a couple were not. And so what we did with those individuals, rather than saying you're just not able to cut it, or you can't keep up, so you can no longer work here, is we worked with Toyota and said, what can we do? What accommodations can we make to help these people be successful? Well, Toyota doesn't believe in accommodations, and they did not want to lessen their process or compromise on their quality. So a real popular term out at the Toyota campus is Kaizen, and that means continuous improvement. And so rather than saying that we're going to accommodate these people, or we're going to do things to make the job down to their level, is they brought in a team of engineers, and they've done this a couple of times now on different jobs. They bring in a team of engineers to watch our individuals work and look at what is keeping them from meeting the standard that they're supposed to meet, whether it's quality or time or whatever it may be. And so those engineers watched our process, watched our people work, and then found ways to make the job easier, not just for a person with a disability that was coming from the ARC Southwest Indiana, but then these continuous improvement methods that they implemented made the job easier for everybody. And so they were implemented not as an accommodation for a person with a disability, but as a continual improvement process to make the job more efficient and easier for the employees of Toyota or SMC or whoever the other vendor may be. Whenever we, of course, moved people out, some were apprehensive. We had the idea of what's it going to do with my benefits? What if I can't do the job? I like what I'm doing now. What if I get there and don't like it? So we offered all of our people what we called a soft landing, if they wanted to go out and give Toyota or one of the vendors a try. And so we promised them, if they gave it a honest effort, they worked at it for a period of time, not just a few days or a week, but really gave it a chance to be successful and for them to fit in and get used to and feel comfortable with the job. If they still didn't like it, we would bring them back to the training center or the enclave. And coincidentally, not only did we do that for the people who were moving out of the enclave into one of the vendors, but we also did that with our initial placements from our sheltered workshop to enclave. Now, there's always that uncertainty, and there's always that fear that you're not going to like it or you're going to fail, and then what do I do then? And so what our answer was is, you go give this a try and you give it an honest effort, and if it doesn't work, then you can come back to the workshop, or you can come back to the enclave if they were being placed at a vendor. And so that really gave people the confidence to give it a try and give it an honest effort. We really learned a lot from not only the people that were successful, but also from the people who weren't. And we didn't just count that as a failure. We counted it as a learning experience. And so what we did was studied and decided and tried to come up with a plan about what could we do better for the next person that takes this chance, and how can we help them be successful. So what we did was decided that one of the enclaves that we had needed to step it up a little bit. We needed to better prepare. It was our responsibility, not the individual who had to move back or didn't enjoy the job or wanted to come back to the enclave. It wasn't their responsibility. We felt like it was ours. What do we need to do better to prepare our team members to be successful whenever they made the jump from the enclave to the competitive employment? Two of the biggest issues that we found were not really the ability to do the job itself, but was the stamina of the individuals and the need to stay focused through an entire shift. Toyota is a pretty tedious job. It requires you to stay sharp and focused. You cannot miss a pick. You cannot fall behind on your time. And so stamina and focus were a couple of the things that we saw as being real issues. So we took, but incidentally, this is a picture right here of our west plant. This is the enclave, and the east plant, we transitioned into a training center. And I'll talk more a little bit about this, but I want to take the opportunity to highlight this young man right here in the front on the left, and his name is Jared. And one of the things that we were finding not only was the success of our individuals with disabilities, but also the morale of Toyota employees and the other vendors' employees. Seeing people with disabilities come to work on a daily basis, and in many cases making friends with them. And sometimes we would have individuals from Toyota come and take one of our guys to lunch, or just sit down and talk with them for a while. Really creating those natural supports that we hear about all the time, but we were really seeing them in action. It was really a great thing to watch. But Jared, tragically, a few months ago, passed away from a stroke. Had been to work, went home, and just had a stroke, and then eventually passed away within a day or so. The response from the Toyota team was phenomenal. And it just really showed us how much our individuals meant to them, the impact they were having on the morale of the other workers, and further ingrained, and we knew that we belonged out there. We knew we were accepted and a part of their culture out there at that time. There was a line of Toyota team members and other vendor members lined from our enclave entrance all the way out into the plant for some distance, waiting to walk through one by one and shake the hand or hug of each of our team members who had lost one of their own. And it was just really phenomenal to see, and it was really touching. So backing up just a little bit, so then what we did was we transitioned our east plant into a transitional training center, and we made our west plant continue to be an enclave. And for all those individuals who just didn't feel like they wanted to go any further or move on out into competitive employment, they still had a place to work. But the other people in the east plant were made for individuals who wanted to move on through, had competitive employment as their ultimate goal. And this became a place where they could train and prepare themselves to move on out into the plant. We had them initially stand for their entire shift because stamina was a problem. And if you've worked a job like that where you're on your feet all day, you probably know what I'm talking about, how just that being on your feet all day takes a toll on your body. And so we decided that our individuals needed to get in a little better shape and kind of get in that workplace shape that's necessary to stand for 8 hours, but more likely usually 10, because there's overtime almost every day. We also had them to follow tack time. And this is something that's out at Toyota, and they have like timers or clock stopwatches, I guess you would say, mounted throughout the building. And each time a tugger brings a load around for a particular station to complete, it has to be done within the time that's on the stopwatch, and that's tack time. And our people hadn't followed that before. So now not only were they having to complete the job, but they were having to complete it within the tack time. And so efficiency and speed became something also that they were being trained on. And then also we made them follow a telemill. And a telemill is something that comes with each conveyance that tells the part and the activity that's supposed to be performed within that particular tack time. For example, on this route, we are picking passenger side seat belts for the Highlander. And on the next, we're picking driver's side seat belts for the Sienna. And so it's something different every time, but our individuals having to take note of that, read that, and then finish it within the required time was something that was necessary, and really, as we found out and moved people on out, was beneficial to them to be successful then whenever they moved on out into the plant. One of the really cool stories that we have is Elijah, and that's this young man showed here with Ted Brown in the background. Ted is our champion. Elijah started off in a group home, and he started out working in a sheltered workshop, making sub-minimum wage. As he got out of high school a little bit and started to mature a little bit and gain some skills in the sheltered workshop, he was able to move on out into a waiver home, and he started in our enclave. So now Elijah has moved out of that enclave and works in body weld, and he's making like $23 an hour, working full time, and has benefits for Toyota itself, and it's just a real success story. And that's Elijah's one of the people that we point to as really coming from, where everybody starts, or where the most significantly disabled start, in a group home, working in a sheltered workshop. But there was no slowing him down. Once he started getting a taste of what work was, and setting goals for himself, and knowing what he wanted in his life to consider himself successful, what his interests were, and making his own choices, now is like I said, really, really doing well, and a really key team member in the body weld shop out at Toyota. He's working on the gold shift and doing very well. We also have been able to take advantage of the Project Search program here in our community. It is one that the ARC Southwest Indiana administers, and we partner with Gibson General Hospital. And we have been able to, through the experiences that they have got through Project Search, place them successfully out into vendors on the Toyota campus. And we've also had 2 individuals go through Erskine Green Training Institute. And although it's the training hotel or the hospital side of things, the skills that they learned, whether it's work skill or whether it's that independence, whether that's getting out of bed and going to work, and understanding what it takes to be a successful employee, I can't thank and acknowledge those 2 programs enough for the training that they do to help individuals with disabilities be successful. So if you remember on the video, Ted made the comment that he would like an equal representation from Toyota employees as individuals with disabilities in our community. And so what our goal is, this was driven by Toyota, not by us, but this was driven by Toyota, is 10% of their employees, they would like to be individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. If you remember, he said there at the Toyota campus alone, Toyota employees, they have 6,000. So that's 600 individuals with disabilities that they would like to place out on their campus. And we are a small provider, although we represent 2 counties. There's no way we can come close to 600 individuals with disabilities placed at Toyota. So we are attempting to form partnerships with other providers in our area. What we're doing with those individuals, or what we've offered other providers in our area, is that if they have somebody that's skilled enough and ready to go, we will assist them with being a direct placement out at Toyota. If that individual has interest in working at Toyota but needs a little training to prepare themselves before they move on out into Toyota or one of the vendors, we have offered to make them an employee of the ARC, where they can work in our training center to gain the skill that's necessary to move on out. It's important to Toyota to have a single point of entry and a single point of contact. So that's why with other providers, we do require them to become an employee of the ARC Southwest Indiana, only for the time that they're in the training center, and only till they're properly prepared to move on out into Toyota. At that time, though, whenever they are ready and whenever they are placed, we give them back to that provider to place them in the job that they want, and do the job coaching and get that successful voc rehab, then competitive placement with that individual. one of the biggest problems that we face in our area, a very rural community, and I'm sure this is, I hear the stories across the state. One of the biggest barriers to employment for people with disabilities is transportation, and that's no different here. The Toyota campus is located about 3 miles outside of town here, and one of the places that we really try to draw from too, or we've really tried to partner with providers in the Evansville area, just because of the sheer number of people in Evansville compared to Princeton. But transportation, again, is very difficult. The Toyota campus is about 20 miles north of Evansville. So as this continues to evolve, we have taken over the process of one of the vendors out on the campus. Again, 6,000 employees out on that campus, and it's very difficult in our rural area to hire that many people. And some of the vendors out at the Toyota campus are having trouble filling all their positions. And so we took over the process of one of the many processes of this company, but we took over one of the processes. And what this allowed us to do was to continue to build on our transitional training center. It gave us more processes and a little bit more difficult work to bring our people on out to train on, to help them move quickly and successfully out into Toyota. And so when we took that over, we started picking seat belts. And so now our individuals, like I mentioned earlier, we're reading that telemill and watching that tack time, picking seat belts and other parts of the vehicles to get them out to the line to be installed. And so now we're working side by side with other vendors. We're not in a congregate setting in our transitional training center any longer. We're right out on the floor working side by side with other vendors. And so we decided that it was time for VR to come back in and take a look at this, because we felt like based on their decision and the reason for their decision a few years ago to no longer support the placement because of the congregate setting, we thought if they saw us now out on the floor and everything that we've accomplished over the period of time, that they should come back and take a look at this and see if they can't fund it now that we're out side by side with people without disabilities. And so they came back at the end of 2019, and I don't know if you can see that whole picture or not. That's me, Christina Blankenship, Teresa Colazar, Kylie Hope, and then Ted's on the end. I don't know if you can see him or not, but we invited them back in. We toured the plant. We talked about what we were doing, how it involved, what the transitional training center consisted of, and asked them, to fund this again. And so what the result of that is they decided they would fund work experiences out there in our transitional training center. And also at that time, Toyota, where they would only support job coaches from our organization, understood how we needed to grow and how we needed to expand. And so now, although we will kind of have oversight, multiple job coaches from other providers will be allowed out there to work with their individuals through the work experience if they're authorized to do so. The other thing that we hope to do starting in August is with our pre-ETS program, and we're going to offer work experiences at the Toyota campus for 8 to 10 weeks for high school students to get the experience to come out and work at Toyota and see what that environment is like, and prepare them, hopefully, if they're interested, for that experience later in their exit from high school. Through our pre-ETS program, we serve Gibson County, Pike County, Posey County, and Warwick County, and we also serve Vanderburgh County. We are in a partnership with Sycamore Services and SERS, and then recently have added the southeast part of the state, including the Corridon area and some of those counties over there. And so we really want to open this opportunity up where we're supporting through a work experience 2 students during the 8 to 10 week work experience, and then they will move on back to the high school, and then we'll bring in 2 more people. And so we hope to sponsor several throughout the school year work experiences for high school students. So we have had some successful placements Not as many as we had hoped for, but again, individuals have a lot of concerns whenever they move on out into the plant, and you know, the success is there if everything falls into place. And so we have successfully placed individuals in body weld, which you saw Elijah earlier. That's the department or the area that he works in, as well as Dakota, who you might have saw in the video right after Millie, the president, talked. We've placed people in conveyance, and of course in the pick areas, and that's picking seat belts, seat tracks, front grills, and ECUs. And then we've also placed people in janitorial. And food services has recently come on board. That's through a company out at Toyota campus called Aramark, and we have 2 individuals placed out there. And so we continue to expand our training center and our placements to different areas depending on the choices and interests of the individuals that we're serving. Here's some of the numbers that we've been able to accomplish over the life of this project so far. There's currently 28 team members working out at the Toyota. The number's that high because some of the positions are job shares. Either individuals are concerned about their benefits, or there may be health concerns, or another reason why they're not interested in working 40 hours. So we do have a few positions out there that are job shares, where an individual may work Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then his partner or her partner will work Tuesday, Thursday to make up the 40 hours. So there's 28 currently out on the campus. We've had over 60 individuals since 2014 with intellectual and developmental disabilities participate in the program. 13 thus far have been placed at Toyota or one of the vendors, but that number is about ready to go up by 4. We have an individual doing his day of work for Toyota today. He did work the night shift last night, and he took off a little early to go in and get a couple of hours of sleep, but then he's out at Toyota doing his day of work today, and that's really their assessment of an individual. It's part of their application process. Once you go through the day of work, they will assess your stamina and your ability to think and react, and this is just part of the whole hiring process. And then he'll go back in and work the night shift tonight. So, you know, we're just really proud of our individuals' commitment to their job, working the night shift, working day shift, but then overtime, and there's mandatory Saturdays. And you know, you hear a grumble every now and then. I can't tell you that it's just perfect, but for the most part, our people understand what's going on and are very committed to the job. And it's just really great to see that we've set a bar pretty high for individuals with disabilities, and they're reaching them. And so that's really great to see. Our wages are $8.33 an hour for the blue shift. We pay a 70-cent shift differential for the gold shift, but we also offer full benefits to our employees, our team members, and they're the same benefits that anybody at the Arc of Southwest Indiana receives, including medical insurance, dental, vision. We have a free medical clinic for our team, and we also have 401k, and all of our individuals who are team members are eligible for all of these benefits. This is just an idea. If an individual is placed at SMC out on the Toyota campus, their starting wage is $12 an hour. Aramark, which is the food service vendor out at Toyota, is $10 an hour. At Toyota, on the blue shift, they're starting out at $18 an hour and around $20, $21 an hour for the gold shift. And Elijah, that individual that I pointed out earlier, is making $23 an hour. So it's just really, you know, phenomenal and exciting to see an individual, again, I've repeated this several times, but come from a sheltered workshop and a group home to now living independently, making that kind of wage. So before I entertain questions, I do want to let everybody know that just recently we have announced that we are going to expand our transitional training center. And so what that means is that we're going to offer more opportunities for internships in the training center, and individuals who earn or awarded internships will work directly with the company that's offering the internship. So it could be Toyota, SMC. I think you might have caught this during Ted's speech during the video, but there's 6,000 jobs out at that Toyota campus, but there's over 10,000 jobs in a 2-mile radius of that Toyota campus. There's 20 vendors out there. And so those vendors have agreed to offer internships to individuals with disabilities. And they'll go out for 6 to 8 weeks at a time on an internship and, learn how to do the job. And we hope to also have some other components to the internship, including assisting in getting a driver's license, so transportation, that transportation barrier can kind of go away. We're going to counsel people on their benefits and how that will affect them if they're to move on out into Toyota, into competitive employment. And then we're also going to have a residential piece, because one of the things that we want to do is offer this opportunity to people with disabilities throughout the state of Indiana. So we're hoping that we can bring somebody from all of your area up in the northeast part of the state that might be interested in an internship at Toyota, and bring them down and have a residential component to our internship where they can stay here and go to work through the 6 to 8 week internship, and then hopefully be offered a job at the end out at Toyota at their campus or one of the vendors. If they're not interested in staying down in this area, but would still like the experience of the internship, they'll be awarded a certificate from Toyota at the end of the internship, and they can take that back up to their area then and have it to be part of their portfolio or part of their resume as something that they've accomplished and help them be employed at a company that is in their own area. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. Or
Okay. We had somebody type in, "This is so exciting." Definitely agree on that one. Then somebody put in,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
That Project Search is a great program. Can individuals go down to this area and apply?
For our internship and for a Toyota, we would love for people from all areas of the state of Indiana, and we hope nationally before too long that have interest in this type of work. We would love to work with you.
And then let's see, the next one that we have is, if they have internships, do they have Voc Rehab help with this if they're coming from, like, say, Marshall County? Or do they just contact ARC of Southwest Indiana?
So we would like them to contact the ARC Southwest Indiana, but the internships are going to be funded by vocational rehabilitation. And so what we would like to happen, and this is still developing. We're in the process. We are partnering with Voc Rehab, and they have committed to it. So now we're working out details. This is also going to be part of a national challenge by the Department of Health and Human Services that we responded to. So there's a few partners in here that are all working together to offer this opportunity, but we do have commitments, and so it is going to happen. The details right now, I don't know, but yes, we would ask anybody to contact the ARC Southwest Indiana, then we would make the referral to Voc Rehab, and we would work together with Voc Rehab, that individual, and any provider or family members that they might have to help them participate in this project.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? It is a really incredible program. Really neat to see. I was aware of the Walgreens program, but had not heard of yours. So it's really awesome to see more companies doing this.
It really is. And there's no, this is a win-win. There's no way this cannot be considered a really positive and fantastic opportunity. Our goal always is to integrate our individuals in the community and give them every opportunity to participate and be successful as well as everybody else. And frankly, we all know the barriers and some of the stigmas that we've had to deal with over the years. And at Toyota, this just hasn't been the case. I don't know. I would imagine from time to time there's a grumbling over something, because whenever you get 6,000 people together, there's usually somebody that has a gripe about something. But I participated. I was a guest speaker at Toyota Ability a couple of years ago, and I talked about the potential of people with disabilities and you know, other things like that. Their ability, their potential to contribute, and just on and on. And I'll tell you, afterward, the response of the people coming up to me after and wanting to share that they had a child with a disability, or show me a picture of their child with a disability and what they were doing, or just, you know, thank us for providing service to people with disabilities. It was overwhelming. And so as long as we can get our people out there and exposed and really see other people have other people see what their potential is, it's really heartwarming, and it's what we're striving for.
Awesome.
And
We had somebody note that this is great. I'm really excited. I have some individuals that might do well at this. And then, do you know if GM in the Fort Wayne area has ever been approached about a program like this?
I certainly do not. I do not know that. I would bet that they've heard, and I think it would probably just take a service provider starting to ask questions.
And can you talk a little bit about the staffing shortages, and, you know, if somebody from Marshall County decided to come down to try out this program, what thoughts do you have on availability of staffing and those kinds of things in your guys' area? What are the bigger towns that might have more pools of staff available should they want to move there for 6 weeks or whatever to partner with this internship kind of idea?
So for the internship initially, we are going to partner with a hotel here in Princeton. We will probably be looking for higher functioning individuals that don't have a lot of medical needs, especially in the beginning. We are going to have a staff person committed to this program, and that will be who oversees and cares for that individual and meets their needs throughout their stay here. As we evolve, we hope to move away from a hotel and have a little bit more comfortable residential option. And at that time, as the program goes, we might be able to staff more individuals to take people who have a higher needs. But in the beginning, that's what we will be looking at is 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it is, in a hotel with the point of this program, that individual providing all the services. We're also partnering with Oakland City University to offer some recreational activities and some companionship for this individual while they are in the internship.
Awesome. So somebody else asked, this is great. Does the ARC offer any assistance for those who lose the waiver, but would still need help with their daily living needs, like paying bills, budgeting, etc.? What kind of supports, you know, when the waiver is gone, would there be?
Yes, we can still offer support for those minimal type, services if the waiver is lost.
Oops, okay.
And are
And
some of the people that are
doing that with
earning,
Elijah. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
oh, sorry, are some of the people that are earning the larger amounts of money and losing their Medicaid, are they also implementing some of the IRWs and other kinds of incentives through Social Security to try to maintain some of their benefits?
Yes, and we are working with them through all of that. That, and not only that, we're trying to counsel them throughout the thing. This is where you're at. This is what's going to happen. This is what you may lose. This is what we can still offer. This is what we can help you with. So yeah, that is a really important piece of all of this, is our communication and making people aware of what's going to happen and how we can continue to help them as they grow.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? We'll give everybody a minute to see if somebody's typing something in.
Okay. While we're waiting, I might also add that some of our individuals who have decided, I'm going to use the term fail. I don't mean fail, but have decided to move away from the enclave after they've started, have actually went back to the training center, kind of regrouped, refocused, and then tried again and have been successful. So if you come in and at first, maybe it's a little overwhelming or something, and you move back out, we certainly will work with you then to move back in whenever you feel the time is right.
So the blue and gold shift. So the blue is a day shift and gold is a night shift, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And as you might expect, the gold shift is a little bit harder to staff than the blue shift, especially with people with disabilities. So we're always looking for gold shifters.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Does the presentation have your guys' contact information on it?
I do not believe that it does.
Can you share that with us so that those that want to have teams get in touch with you, that they can make that happen?
Sure. So Stan Keepus, the ARC Southwest Indiana, Post Office Box 5 in Princeton. And my email address is stan.keepus@arcswin.org, ARCSWIN. And it's on there now. Can you see?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Stan.
You're welcome.
Okay. We haven't had any other questions come in, and I don't want to take up your whole day. We really appreciate you taking time to do this presentation. Incredibly interesting and exciting. So really think this is cool, and hopefully we'll start to see more and more companies move towards this. So
Definitely.
very, yeah.
Well,
Well,
thank
thank
you
you so
all
much
for
for
the
your
opportunity.
time.
Yeah, and I know it's a long way. I know there's a few hours between us, but if anybody at all wants the opportunity or would like to come down and tour or learn more about, please contact us.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending. We appreciate you being with us today, and hopefully you found the presentation as valuable as I did, and have a wonderful weekend. Advocacy Link staff, please log into the next webinar. Thank you. Bye, Stan.
Goodbye. Thank you.